Okay, the agenda is approved as submitted. Does council have any conflicts of interest or ex parte communications to disclose? Okay, hearing none, we have communications by and petitions from visitors. Guest speakers, incident management team, COVID-19 update. Dr. Sanders, do we have you online?
Yeah, hi everyone. Our management and the medical response team has started to slow down in terms of how frequently we're meeting. We do continue to work together with the group from Alanka. Right now we have 0 active cases. We are offering boosters to anybody that would like them at this point, any adults that would like them. And we are also offering the Pfizer vaccine to 5 and over. So these boosters and vaccine clinics are still going very smooth. We continue to interact and attend state meetings and also monitor other changes such as variants as they come up, but are very reassured with our community's current status and our vaccination rate. I'm glad to answer any questions.
Any questions, Council, on COVID-19? Councilman Gleason?
I don't have a COVID-19 one. Is this the only chance we'll have to talk to her about?
No, Dr. Sanders, you'll be given a CCMC report where you can speak to the CCMC budget.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll hold those questions for that. Is there any COVID-related questions for Dr. Sanders?
I've got one quick one.
Councilman Guard, you're coming in very soft. But, go ahead.
Yeah, what's our local vaccination rate now? Fully vaccinated.
Looking at the state numbers, it looks like our fully vaccinated rate is still right at that 60%, 59 to 60%. When you add natural immunity and the likelihood that we've also missed many of those cases, I think that we're really looking at a 70, 75% immunity for, the variants that we see in COVID as we currently know it in Alaska. So it's very reassuring. We're also seeing during the last few months when we've had these cases of community spread pop up, we aren't seeing large outbreaks or clusters come from the smaller outbreaks. And I think that is due to our community's immune status. So overall, we're reassured, we're cautious, we're monitoring, but things are definitely looking good.
Does that answer your question, Councilman Guard?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Okay, any other questions, Council? All right, thank you, Dr. Sanders. Audience comments regarding agenda items. I just remind the audience that comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. And where are we going to do that, up here?
Yes.
Okay. And is there a microphone on the chair there?
This big mic in the middle should pick it all up.
Okay, great.
Fine.
So would any in the audience like to speak to any agenda items at this time? Okay, yeah, if you can come and join us here, then the councilman online can hear you through the microphones. Yes, please. If you want to come and take a seat down front while you're waiting, it kind of gives an idea of the queue. And then your name and residency
Sure.
for the record, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is John Whistle. I'm a resident of the great city of Cordova, Alaska. It's been about 10 years since I've spoken to City Council. Last time it was a serious and not fun matter, and this time it's a serious and fun matter. I'm here to talk about beer. You have an application from No Road Brewing, and I would like you to please approve it to open a brewery here. We really need it. It'll help us with solid waste. It'll help us with our diversifying our local economy. And I just want you to know that I have tried a lot of Micah's beer before, and I don't think I need to speak to Micah. We all know him. He's an upstanding member of the community. I don't know his partners as well, but they're my neighbors, and they're good, solid neighbors, that's for sure. But Micah's beer is really good. I mean, like, it's not good for somebody brewing beer at home. Like, it's just good beer. We want to be drinking that beer regularly here. And that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, name and residence for the record, please.
Micah Renfelt, 308 Railroad Row. I'd just like to say right now that public speaking is not my strong point, but brewing beer is. So I'm going to keep this as brief as I can. Oh man, I've even lost my, there it is, okay. I've lived here for 10 years, and since I've lived here, the first day I've known that this town needs a brewery, and I'm not the only one to share this sentiment, you know, and since this project's gotten off the ground, I've been stopped often in the street with people saying, oh my gosh, you're starting a brewery. I can't believe it's taken this long for this to happen. So I'm speaking in support of No Road Brewing Company's bid for the license from the state. Most folks have also approached me saying, I've also had this idea, you know, I've wanted to start a brewery here, but the time's not right or whatever. And just want to say that Curtis and Christiana, they have the skills and the drive, and I've got the experience, okay? I've worked with Curtis on Parks and Rec projects, and I was very impressed with his professionalism, his attention to detail, his ability to get things done. And through that, I also learned that we worked really well together. Christiana, I knew, volunteered with my wife on the planning committee for Salmon Jam last year, and that's, I'm sure as you know, no easy undertaking. She told me that she jumped right in to share her technical expertise, and she was eager and energetic and a great addition to the team. And after Curtis approached me about being involved with this venture, he let me know that Christiana was their, you know, brewing part of their family, and I immediately proposed that we brew beer together, and we made an incredible Belgian Saison. So I knew from then that we all shared a passion for this community and for creating and making great beer. So what I bring is 20 years of brewing expertise and the knowledge and experience of living and working and volunteering in this community. And I think that gives me a uniquely resourceful skill set. I'd like to urge you to pass a joint resolution in support of No Road Brewing obtaining the license for the City of Cordova's brewery permit, and or if that can't be done here right now, writing individual letters of support to the State Alcohol Control Board. So I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Phillips, 100 Yandel Road. I am also here to talk about item number 17 on your agenda this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for your dedication and time to Cordova. You make a lot of hard decisions. I'm glad I'm not one of them. I am in full support of No Road Brewing and Amco petition permit 6008. I think that just the stuff that I've read, the literature I've seen, the fact that they've already acquired their loan and gotten things off the ground as far as they have already is a massive undertaking. Having worked with Amco a lot for Salmon Jam and doing the beer garden, I know that that permit is really hard to go through. Special permits, I'm sure Kathy is aware, is also really hard to go through. The fact that they've actually put in the time and effort as they have already shows that their drive and determination can get this done. So I'd like the council to really support the waive of petition for the Amco permit. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And council online, can you hear this testimony okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yep. We're just fine, but.
Hello, my name is Sky Steritz. I'm the president and co-founder of Noble Ocean Farms, LLC, which is a budding regenerative kelp farming operation based here in Cordova. And I'm also here to voice my support for No Road Brewing receiving this brewery license. I think there are a lot of reasons to support Christiana, Curtis, and Micah in this endeavor. They're extremely thoughtful, intelligent, and community-centric. And I also see a lot of opportunities where they can support and collaborate with the rising regional mariculture industry. We've already talked about collaborating on a kelp beer. I also think it could be a space where we could host events to bring together potential buyers, people who are interested in learning about kelp, potentially even doing kelp tastings. at their space. So I am just really excited that they're heading in this direction, and I hope that you all will support them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Aaron Muma, 113 Mount Eccles Estates. I am just here. I'd like to speak in support of No Road Brewing receiving Cordova's brewery license. Curtis, Christiana, along with Micah, they are very well organized, professional, very prepared. They have a solid business plan, financing already in place, and brewery equipment lined up and ready to go. They have been very open, sharing their vision with what their business would be with Cordova. They've pledged to give back to the community. And from what I can see, they seem to have near total support of the community behind them. And I really feel that if given this opportunity, they would take full advantage of it. And in turn, No Road Brewing would turn into a thriving business that would greatly benefit the community of Cordova. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Christiana Fincher, and I live at 323 First Street. Our vision for No Road Brewing had its origin at a little brewery called Homestead Ales in Eureka, Montana, which is 5 miles south of Canada and 30 miles east of Idaho. Curtis and I used to go there every week to play trivia. I was a local high school's math teacher, and we played as part of the teachers' trivia team. There was also a Forest Service team and a Border Patrol team and a retired lumberjack team, and just this great eclectic mix of people from town. The guy who announced the trivia was the founding member of the brewery and ran the school's robotics club. The brewery was an old cabinet maker shop at the base of the mountains outside of town. The head brewer had been a cabinet maker before surviving cancer and decided what he really wanted to do was brew beer. So he did, and his wife worked at the bar. I taught both of their boys. Eureka was about half the size of Cordova, and the brewery wasn't very big, but it was always full, and inside it, everyone seemed relaxed and happy. I know it sounds sort of ridiculous, but a lot of my memories from our years in Montana were at that brewery. In fact, I can't really think of Eureka without thinking of that place. It was where we caught up with friends and were introduced to people whose names we knew, but who we hadn't yet met. When we crossed the border to go skiing in Canada each weekend, the Border Patrol agent would wave at us because we knew him from trivia. We like good beer, and I like to make good beer, but honestly, the beer had very little to do with it. One of our best friends didn't drink, and each week he would come with us to the brewery and order Eli's Ginger Ale, which was named after one of the 2 boys I taught. That place has always been our model for what we hope for No Road Brewing. A place to bring together different strands of our community and mix them together. Where strangers can meet and old friends can catch up, while dogs run around people's feet and toddlers bounces on someone's knee. It's the type of space the town doesn't quite have, but it needs. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
One clap.
Mr. Mayor, esteemed members of the City Council, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Kenneth Jones, live at 514 Sunnyside Drive, for the record. And thank you for the opportunity to come before you and talk this evening. I am here to express support for No Road Brewing, and I think it's just a slam dunk. When I sat among you, I always talked frequently about growing the pie, growing the taxable base, growing Cordova. This is an opportunity to do so. It's something that we don't currently have. I think it's a slam dunk. You guys can't go wrong here. They've done their homework. They have clear and transparent financial backing. They have a business plan. They have a place to put it in. They've already got a local brewer signed on who's almost got world famous beer already. So, it's a slam dunk, and urge you guys to approve it. Thank you.
Is there further audience comments on agenda items?
Hello. My name is Becky Chapik, and I'm counting my days, I think 39 years here in Cordova. And 39 years ago, I was that young couple. I came here and I opened the Killer Whale Cafe along with Orca Book and Sound, which I think some of you were not even born yet. But it was a successful endeavor. It was an outreach for something similar. Cordova does have a propensity to have splits, and I think a brewery is a good idea. I spent my vacation in Colorado, where they come a dime a dozen. People are everywhere having fun and playing, games and having a good time with dogs and kids. But there are two people here that want to have a brewery. This young couple and also a woman who came about the same time. And I'm slightly confused about, is this where you guys say, well, we want this one and not this one? Or are you simply saying that it's okay to have a brewery in Cordova? So that's a question I have. And do you have an answer?
Well, I think the answer is going to be council's vote on the agenda items.
Do you say, yes, we'd like one, or do you say, yes, we only want this one? Because both of them have permits in Amco. I think Brooke actually had hers down first, and it's kind of a shame, really. I don't know if you can go for both, or if you have to make a decision. I thought that somehow it was their, this is like a beauty pageant.
We're not
voting,
getting
but
this on the phone.
Okay, yeah, is there a chance you could speak a little louder? Or if you
Turn the microphone.
Or yeah,
Maybe
it's
take
this
my
one
hands
picking
out.
up maybe.
Well, I just asked a question, and do you know the answer to that?
Is there, Susan?
The Amco office told me that council, they would take anything that the local governing body had to say into consideration when they reviewed it. These are competing applications. I believe they're in the council packet with, a motion that we've done before, which is just to waive protest, and that's just if we had, a real issue with either one. But Amco said they would take anything the council had to say into consideration.
Okay, so I hope that helps, but yeah, I think the idea is to give public testimony on the item that's in the agenda, kind of for or against, or Councilman Sherman?
I was just the guidance that we've been given from Amco says that staff usually recommends protests based on public safety, financial delinquencies, and zoning. So really those are the things that council is charged with in terms of protesting. We're not really guided to choose one or another in a situation like this, but we could protest based on any of these requirements.
And have you reviewed where the premises are for that, so that you would be able to make a decision about whether that's a good spot or not?
Yeah, that information's in the packet, so council's.
I didn't read
has
the
that in front
packet,
of
so. Okay, well, I just basically wanted to make sure everybody knew that, because it seemed like there's a little bit of a disconnect about, well, what's appropriate? Well, should we put up a website and get a name, or should we get a permit and then work for those things at a different time?
Yeah.
Because obviously there's been a nice, there's a good PR program going, and I can see how that, it's a good story, and it's a needed thing, and I would support a brewery, and I'm not prepared to make a decision about there's only this one because of that.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
Yeah,
So
thank
yeah,
you.
so both of these are in the council packet. And council at this point can voice any objections, and those will go to Amco for their consideration, but that's all that council's doing tonight.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty arduous, what happens to these people when they get consideration. I think they've, done due diligence in many ways, and so hopefully.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Your name and residence. for
My
the
name
record.
is Chesapeake Stewart, and I live at 175 EOC, 6.5 mile. Hello, good evening. I'm the other applicant. I have the food wagon across the street. I've been before you a couple times, and I appreciate you allowing me to do business here. Like the other applicants, they are new here, so are we. Similar passion for beer. I have a background in food, and I'm in this industry, and we have a passion for beer. And I've been wanting to meet the demands of customers who want beer. I mean, if topics could get this much attention, other topics in the city, it would be awesome. I recently went to Juneau, and I've been meeting with the Pink Boots Society, which are very interesting. They have a division in Alaska, and I know who I want to partner with. They have experience with small towns. They have experience with this industry in this state. And just like coming in here this summer, I partnered with friends of mine who have experience with food. And I flew them up here. We did the food for Salmon Jam on the fly, just got here, pretty much off the boat. My partner works for Forest Service. We've also lived in Idaho and Montana. We have, there's some similarities here. I think that I've put kind of my heart and soul into providing food for everybody in town who wants it. I'm a one-person show. I'm planning for spring and summer to expand, so that's just a natural progression. I have a space for it. There's not any conflicting opinions about the space that's being proposed, like the Science Center, old Science Center. So I just think that the application process is a whole process. It's a lot to do on the side of being open to the public, and I think that I just deserve a chance and a shot to provide good beer for the businesses. Like I want to provide for the bars, Baja. I mean, and that my kind of, I think, vision for providing beer for the town is to also grow. There's also a farmers who are doing seaweed that are not Noble Ocean, but they're new and coming, and they've approached me to do products with them. And I mean, I have the space, and I'm in this industry, so I'm I didn't know that there was competing applications. I actually didn't know about these letters that have been submitted off of a website until recently. I have letters. I mean, I know people have written in wanting to give me a shot who believe in what I'm doing. So before the council, I guess that's all I ask, is to have a fair chance. I think that I could have something going spring, summer, and I have legit financing, and I have the time and energy because I'm in this industry of hospitality. And I really believe in what I'm doing, and I enjoy what I'm doing. And so, yeah, that's it. I think that's it. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Can I submit you these letters, or?
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah,
Okay,
give
here's
them to the
some-
clerk and they'll go into the
And I
next
think
packet.
there's a bunch of emails that came in too, but we got it. Thank
Okay.
you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeremiah Beckett. I live at 301 First Street. I grew up in Cordova and returned about 10 years ago with my wife to raise our kids here, and wanted to share my positive support for the city of Cordova supporting a local brewery. Since my early 20s, I've been a beer enthusiast. I've been brewing for about that long, and moving into my 30s, the hobby waned due to other work commitments, and when I returned to Cordova, I thought it was always a great opportunity for the community to have a local brewery. It was something we were missing compared to other rural parts of Alaska. So when I heard about parties generally interested in investing the time, money, energy to start a brewery, it kind of caught my attention. I've chatted with both groups, and am excited to see that this could be a reality happening in Cordova. I think our community has been missing a brewery for some time. It's a great new business that would stimulate the economy and generate tax revenue, and hopefully something most of our town can support. I realize the city and the state have 2 applications for a single brewery license in our community, and that someone, whether it's the city or the state or both, is going to have to make a decision to support one of those. Cordova is always split on a lot of matters, so it's interesting to see the type of support that's here tonight, and I'm sure the additional support that will continue to come in. I think after talking with both of them and just seeing what they've done around town, that it's real easy to see who has a more solid plan, the right financial support, community involvement, and outreach, is actually registered as a brewery with the state from a business license perspective, and has the energy to make this a success in town. So I don't know if the city intends to remain neutral or publicly support one of the applicants, but if the city intends to support one, I think everyone knows that No Road is the only road in Cordova. So I'd like to formally support No Road Brewing, and would recommend the city council does as well. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the community.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, my name's Curtis Fincher. I live at 323 First Street. I want to start by saying it looks like one way or another Cordova's getting a brewery, so that's pretty exciting. I also want to say I know how much work these applications require firsthand, and for that reason I commend Brooke on the effort she's put into completing hers. With respect to the inclusion of Mr. Burden's letter in this packet and Brooke's comment regarding the Science Center, our proposal to lease the Science Center is frankly irrelevant to the discussion here tonight. Insofar as what's on the agenda concerns 2 competing licenses, and No Road Brewing has a suitable space already under lease. And in addition to that, we've been in discussion with other community members about long-term alternatives, both for sale and for lease. We think the Science Center would be a great location, and we look forward to discussing that request at a later date with this council. But I want to iterate that that's an entirely separate question from that of competing licenses, which is what's here at hand. Micah, Christiana, and I believe that Cordova citizens and their elected officials should be the ones to decide which potential brewery would best serve them. That's why, unlike our competition, we have not and will not solicit any letters of support from outside of this community. Also, unlike our competition, we've provided concrete information about our business plan, projected sales, and motivating values. We believe this is integral information for the public and this council to make a decision about which license application to support. We're getting a $230,000 business loan from Cully at First National. The money is Christiana and mine's own. Again, unlike our competition, our funding amount and source are both transparent, although it seems that the alternative is becoming a little more transparent tonight. $70,000 to $80,000 of this will go towards a used steam-powered 4 to 5 BBL commercial brewing system, 4 fermenting vessels, 1 bright tank, a refrigeration system, a walk-in cooler, and 80 kegs. Pricing out all these items individually and countless others is part of business planning, which we've done thoroughly. We had a business advisor from the Small Business Administration, and we've been going through a consulting process on this for 6 months. We project about 190 barrels sold per year, 150 via taproom sales, and 40 to local bars and restaurants. From this, we anticipate about $40,000 to $45,000 of sales tax revenue generated for the city per year. As mentioned, we plan to donate 5% of No Road Brewing's net income in perpetuity to the Cordova Community Foundation as part of a clearly articulated, community-centered vision for this business, and I would welcome our competition to do the same. It was this vision of how Christiana and I could combine our talents to do good for our new home of Cordova and immerse ourselves in this community that inspired us to embark on this endeavor in the first place. We plan to host a variety of community events such as disc golf tournaments, a century bike ride, and most exciting to me personally as an outdoor bum, a yearly sea-to-ski team adventure relay race that I think has significant potential tourist impacts. We've kicked off our local first ethos with local lending and hiring a local brewer with decades of brewing experience. We're also in the process of joining the State Brewers Guild. None of these steps or planning has been completed or at least made publicly available from our competition, which in my personal opinion speaks not only to our respective dedications to this venture, but also our respective likelihoods of success. Business requires planning. Christiana, Mike, and I are capable of and devoted to ensuring that this operation will be successful and become a staple that Cordovans can be proud of. But you need to realize that that's not a given just because we're selling beer. After receiving tens of hours of advice from brewers in Skagway, Kodiak, Anchorage, we understand that the margins for a brewery in a town this small in Alaska are pretty tiny, which is probably why somebody hasn't done this in Cordova already. But even given that, Christiana and I are investing our time and money in this project because we've actually run the numbers again and again and again and believe that despite all of that, we can pull this off. We believe in the team we've assembled and continue to assemble and the vision we're offering, which is fundamentally that if we build something for others, it will grow. The options you have before you tonight are, on the one hand, a license application with literally no other public information behind it, and on the other, a cogent, organized, civic-minded business that's ready to roll from day one. It's my understanding that this council's input will be given considerable weight with the State Alcoholic Control Board, and given this, I encourage the council to make a motion, which is an option here under summary and alternatives. Make a motion to direct the mayor to draft a letter of support for whichever license council believes will better serve Cordova and make our community a better place to live. We'd like to thank the community and everyone who's here tonight for the absolutely overwhelming support we've received for this idea so far. We really appreciate it. Can't wait to start building this business. We're ready to start building this business, and we look forward to being a strong community and city partner for many years to come. Thank you all.
Thank you. Further audience comments on agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, it's Councilman Baylor.
Councilman Baylor.
If there's no other comments, before we move forward, forgive me, I've been up for like 19 hours. Under the conflict of interest, I don't believe I have one or don't have one, but I do want to bring out the fact that I did go with Representative No Road Brewing, look at a structure and just kind of advise them on the viability of using that structure for a brewery. No money was exchanged and no promises or any discussion was had other than was the building adaptable for their purpose. So I just thought I'd better bring that out now. I kind of missed it there at the beginning.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Baylor, for the transparency. And given the fact that you've disclosed it transparently and that you don't have an actual business interest in it, I don't see a conflict of interest. So Council, for clarity, I'm reverting to item E on the agenda, disclosure of conflicts of interest and ex parte communications. So I don't find a conflict, Councilman Baylor. Council, you do have the right to overturn that. So is there any objection? Okay, so I'm declaring that there's not a conflict of interest there, Councilman Baylor. Thank you for the public testimony. It's unusual, if not, like I don't ever remember that we've had all positive feedback and so much feedback on any item before the City Council, so it's refreshing. Chairpersons and representatives of boards and commissions. I'll start with CCMC Authority Board, Dr. Sanders. And I'll just preface it by saying the council earlier in a budget work session specifically asked for the $500,000 funding request for the CCMC that we believe is a capital item. But if you could clarify what that's for and the purpose and so forth. It's maybe on the tail end of your report if you like.
Great, thanks, Mayor. So as we are looking at our 22 draft budget, it looks like the CCMC revenue projections indicate it's possible for us to cover our operational expenses. Now, historically, we've operated in the red, and this is going to be a very thin margin for us. CCMC's success, as I always remind everyone, is dependent on the community using our facility. We have occupational and physical therapy and have been able to grow our skilled inpatient rehab services to anybody that knows community members, family members that are getting surgeries or end up hospitalized outside of Cordova. Those community members can return to Cordova for skilled inpatient rehab, which is a very important revenue source for the hospital. We have been paying close attention to the provider relief funds and are anticipating to get another distribution. We do not know how large that distribution will be. In terms of our budget request, we did ask for a appropriation from the city. Because our margin is so thin, there is a portion of that appropriation that we were hoping would be reserved for operational expenses. But again, as we get closer into 2022, it is looking like it's possible for us to cover those expenses. What we aren't going to have the money to cover is the capital improvements for some of the deferred. It's not just some. So we don't have money for capital improvement projects for some of the deferred things. One of those projects is we can't put it off any longer, and that's moving the generators outside of our mechanical room so they're not sharing the same space as our air handlers. We have a rough estimate from an engineering firm that it's probably going to be of a magnitude of $300,000, but again, that's a rough estimate. We have not paid for engineering or design of that project yet. So our ask was partially capital and then partially operational funding. And I'm glad to answer any other questions if you guys have any questions or want more clarity on that.
Council, any questions for Dr. Sanders?
Sounds pretty cut and dry to me.
Okay, I think you've answered the questions, Dr. Sanders. Did you have other items you'd like to report?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
I was just asking, I think you answered council's questions. They don't have any questions, so thank you. I just wondered if you had any other items that you would like to report.
I will briefly give one other thing that came up in some online social forums over the weekend was a concern over CCMC utilizing outside collection agencies to collect outstanding debt. I think it's important for council and community members to know that this is not a current practice. That has been stopped for over a year. We have brought all of our debt collection processes in-house and are managing those in-house. And if there are any community members that are having demand letters sent from a collection agency, we do request that those community members call the hospital directly so that we can help them work with the collection agency and get that issue managed. So otherwise, that's all that I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, council? Well, thank you, Doug.
All of our employees locals then? We're no longer farming out some of our work out of state?
No, not all of our employees are local. And when I say in-house, it also doesn't necessarily mean that all of our services are, one of our billers that is employed and works directly for the hospital does live out of state. So we do have, as many businesses do, some remote workers. However, most of our employees are living locally. I think right now I have 4 employees that are remote. So we do use some contracted services that are not necessarily employed. So we have a dietitian that lives in Idaho. It's the same dietitian that we've had for over 10 years at CCMC. But we do make an effort to use local expertise and train up local expertise when we can.
Okay, thank you. Other questions, council? Okay, thank you, Dr. Sanders. And I would just reflect back from the budget workshop discussion earlier, several comments by council that it wasn't unnoticed and unappreciated that that you're not having, the CCMC isn't requesting a large operating request as you have in the past, and appreciate your work on that front. Do we have
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. School board report?
I'm assuming you want me up here.
Yes,
People can
please.
hear.
Yes, please.
Good evening. It has been a fun meeting to listen to, lots of positive things happening, so it's a nice thing. I don't think too much to report. The superintendent wanted to make sure you knew that the semester will end on the 17th and school will be back in session January 3rd. The girls volleyball team is going to state. Very exciting. I didn't know that until tonight, so I'm happy to hear it. And I think that, the big topic of conversation has been mitigation measures at school, and lots of conversation about that. We have gotten some guidance from the MRT that we'll be discussing at our meeting next week. And our practice has been, and I think it's served us well, that we have taken recommendations primarily from our local medical response team in conjunction with any guidance from the State Department of Ed and the CDC. And that the administration has taken local conditions into effect when they make their decisions about mitigation measures. Again, that served us well. It seemed to have served the city well as well, and we're going to continue on that path. So we'll look forward to discussing the MRT's recommendations to the board at our next meeting, and we'll go from there. Given the conditions that were discussed earlier in terms of vaccination rates and natural immunity and no cases and things like that, I'm hopeful that we can start backing down on some of the protections that we've had to have in place.
Thank you. Any questions, council, for school board chair Jewel?
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it was nice to see the 00 again in the update report. No new cases, no positive tests, no active cases. Are there any additional representatives of boards and commissions? I just mentioned, council, we got a letter yesterday from RCAC, and Robert Beadle has made himself available, our representative on RCAC, to give reports in person or at next meeting. So in regards to that item. It'll go out soon, I think. Okay, we don't have a student council representative tonight. So approval of the consent calendar. We have 3 items on there. Would council like to set any of those aside for individual consideration?
Can I make a comment on number 5?
Comments on item 5, Councilman Gleason?
I don't know if I'm the only one that feels this way, but I can't believe that Whittier gets the same amount of money that we do. Those guys are like the bane of commercial fishing's existence right now with all the boats pouring through there. So
I think if it wants to be discussed, we should pull it.
Yeah, if we, that's a good point. So if we do want to discuss it, we can pull it off the agenda.
Well, if I'm the only one, I don't know if it matters, but I don't know if other people are.
No, pull it, Allison, pull it.
We can set it aside. We'll add it as an item on, let's see, item 20, new and miscellaneous business.
Sure.
Okay.
Did you say 20?
Yeah.
Okay.
So on the rest of the consent calendar, Melina Meyer,
Yes.
David Allison,
Yes.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Jeff Gard,
Yep.
Kathy Sherman,
Yes.
David Gleason,
Yes.
Ann Schaefer.
Yes.
Consent calendar approved.
Okay, so that approved the minutes in the consent calendar. So we don't have any considerations of bids this evening. So reports of officers. I'll just start with a verbal report. Representative Stutes wanted to extend her apologies, I guess, or her plane was canceled today. She had planned on being here for Board of Fish, and she does have other engagements in Kodiak. The governor's going to be there on Saturday, and they'll be discussing marine highway system and fisheries issues, both very important to Cordova. So she extended her apologies, but felt like it was more important for Cordova, in fact, for her to be in Kodiak on Saturday, and she just didn't have the bandwidth to come here for a day and leave. So she extends her condolences and wishes us a productive Board of Fish. So I thought I'd share that. I just wanted to mention, Speak to Electrify Alaska is having hosted a conference here on Cordova Electric's behalf, and I'm speaking back to Councilman Sherman's comments in the budget workshop. I can tell you we did have to pay, we paid for an out-of-community, it was an in-state but outside this community conference coordinator. It's 5 figures. There's a tremendous amount of work that goes into planning a conference. And we generated, in our case, almost $50,000 of sponsorships that more than covered the cost of the whole conference. But there's a huge opportunity. That is one 3 or 4 day conference. And so it's not just an opportunity, it's a need. It's tremendously challenging to have someone from outside the community who doesn't understand and have relationships with our local vendors, businesses, chamber, restaurants, housing. So it's a need and an opportunity. So I just wanted to mention that as, in speaking to Councilman Sherman's comments earlier. That's about all I had right now. I've been doing what I can when I can. I'm really under a lot of workload right now in my day job, and so haven't been able to participate a ton. I did give some comments at Board of Fisheries this morning. They may have seemed a little eclectic, but I was speaking more to long-term strategy and thought processes by Board of Fish, as this will likely be my last engagement with them. And they've heard all the rest, and I had written comments, as you saw in the packet tonight, regarding the importance of hatcheries to fisheries. And so we've got a lot of bright opportunities in front of us. We heard about local kelp farmers here tonight, aquaculture and mariculture. We've had a lot of investments in our science center and other opportunities to help that growth opportunity. We are facing some challenges, particularly in Area E, but was able to give some comments there. That's all I had for now, unless there's any questions. Okay, manager's report.
I'll make this brief. I just want to express kudos to this community, to our City of Cordova staff, and the Chamber of Commerce for the real hard work they put into the Board of Fish meeting, which has been going very successfully. We're a little shy on food options here in Cordova, and I've heard, that's the only complaint I've heard from participants. We are capable and able to do conferences here, and people are really pleased with their experiences, and I cannot thank the Chamber and our local staff enough for making that possible. I also want to give you an update. We are still, I'm in the throes of ongoing IBEW negotiations for our union contract. We have not yet made any significant progress, but I'm hopeful we'll have a little breakthrough in the next couple of meetings, and I'll keep you posted on that. But I did communicate back your position that was articulated at the last council meeting, and we're making very slow, I'm not sure progress yet, but we have an accord, we have a relationship, and we're all trying. So that's where I'm at, and that's it for now.
Any questions, Councilman Gleason? And then
comment that maybe if we fished a little more often, we could afford some food. To the Board of Fish.
Oh, yes.
Councilman Schaefer?
I was just gonna ask you an update on the audit.
I'm supposedly getting a draft tomorrow.
Wow.
Yes, so I hope to have an audit for you before the next council meeting, but that obviously isn't going to influence our need to get a budget passed. So here's where we are.
Questions online, council? Okay, clerk's report.
So we're in December as of today, and I'm starting to advertise for the election here coming up soon. Declaration of candidacy will open December 17th. 3 council seats, the mayor, 2 school board, 2 CCMC, and the general obligation debt that you guys approved last time, the up to $2 million for harbor items. That's what will be on the ballot, so it'll be fairly big. And I'm just working out all the details of an election post-COVID, I guess, but you know, we still have in effect from last time when we just changed the code, the 21 days of early voting. And if I see a need to extend it a little, you know, into the evenings and weekends, we can do that again. We did that last year. That's all I have to report.
Any questions for the clerk, council? And Susan, for the record, the mayor and 2 of the council seats are termed out?
The mayor and 1.
Okay.
David Allison is termed out.
Turned out.
Baylor
and then
and
me and
Gleason
Baylor.
are not.
Yeah.
Okay,
We're-
great.
We're up for,
Your seats are up. You can run
You're
again.
eligible to run again.
You are eligible to run again.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have correspondence. Is included in the packet. Any questions or comments, council? On correspondence?
Yes, that is always appreciated, and I do read them.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Baylor.
I appreciate your letter. Board Fish.
Okay, ordinance and resolutions, maybe that's where I probably should have put that item, so why don't I just move it up there if there's no objection? And this is for what was item 5 on the consent calendar, and that's resolution 12-21-46, which is a resolution of the Council of the City of Cordova, Alaska, adopting an alternative allocation method for the fiscal year 22 Shared Fisheries Business Tax Program, and certifying that this allocation method fairly represents a distribution of significant effects of fisheries business activity in FMA 15, Prince William Sound. So that is on the table.
Well, someone has to move it.
Okay, go ahead and move it since we put it on the agenda.
So moved.
So I have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
Second.
Okay, so discussion to your motion, Councilman Gleason.
Oh, do I have to be in favor of this now?
No, you have to say.
Oh, crap. Can I rescind my motion and let somebody else, do I have to be in the affirmative since
You can just say you have questions about it.
It's discussion.
If you have questions
Okay,
or...
for the purposes of discussion, that's why I moved. I think that since we have, us in Valdez, we've got, I'd say Cordova has the bulk of the processors. I'm not sure what, so you read the, well, I'll go to page 1 here and read it. Find it. No. Is that page 1? Yeah.
Yes. The application packet are you looking at, or the letter from them, page 3 or 4, 5?
Well, there's
Page 9
a,
has the allocation method.
there's a deal here that,
That's on page 9.
9.
Or something, like
4.
9 of the PDF. Sorry.
I wanted to understand
There's a
why we get this disbursement.
Sure.
So we get the $66,000 for what reason?
Where does the 66,000 come from?
No, what is it for? What's it supposed to offset?
It's the fisheries business tax collected by the state across the entire state.
Yeah,
and
that part I
then shared
understand.
back. I don't know the exact
To cover
share.
what reason?
Well,
For
I mean,
reason?
what they say in the application would be that you should say the impacts of commercial fishing on your town. And then they would weigh, if you did the long form, how many impacts or value of impacts in Cordova, Whittier, Valdez.
So I would say we're in first place on that one.
However, several years ago, I agreed and did a lot of research and a lot of talking to the other communities and a lot of talking to the state who runs this program. And because of the discrepancy in our populations, Valdez would still get a big amount and Whittier would lose a lot, but Cordova would not hardly gain anything. So the bad blood of switching it up after we've been doing it for so long, the council had determined then that it was not.
Aren't we the guys that have to do something about it though?
If council directs me to do the long form, we'll do the long form.
And
I just kind of think we're getting the short end of the stick on that because I believe out of all three of those communities, regardless of population, especially Valdez, they got income they've had income that was supposed to be shared in Prince William Sound, and they gobbled it all up themselves on the pipeline, on oil. They kept all that to themselves, so this is such a measly amount of money, I can't hardly imagine they would be upset about us taking the lion's share on this.
But we wouldn't.
We wouldn't though, that's the thing. Either way, we're gonna break even. Yeah, so, and there is an administrative cost.
Yeah.
Trust me, it's not the first time council has expressed a lot of frustration with this particular tax, the way it's administered and split up.
I think we're getting hosed, but if you have done the research, and regardless of which way we go, we're only gonna get 22 grand.
Because half of it has to go based on population, and the other half is what you're going to be fighting for. And when I did the
It's really not
calculations,
that, yeah.
it was pennies.
Not gonna save us anything.
Yeah. Believe me, I was the one who started the whole thing
Yeah.
several years ago.
All right, well, I can rescind,
Well,
I guess we just would move to,
It's on there.
Well, it's on discussion. Do you have any further discussion?
No.
Okay, Councilman Sherman, to your second.
I've learned what I needed to learn.
I was just gonna add that, I was looking forward to discussing this as well, but I do remember when, the city clerk did bring this forward before to city council, and we did all the research, and I saw the results, and so it is what it is.
Further discussion, council? City clerk?
I'd say several years ago when I looked into it, I feel as though we had even more of a chance because we were really the fishing town then. And I feel like Valdez is catching up and Whittier's doing a little bit of fishing business now too. We're almost a little more even now.
This is commercial though.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they are. They have processors there.
That's like Sports City over there.
Further discussion, council?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it's Allison.
Councilman Allison?
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the way we're splitting up what's there. I guess it'd be interesting, anybody who is seriously interested in finding out the true injustice of the shared fisheries tax model, I'm welcome to sit down with him sometime. It would take a half an hour to explain it all, but bottom line is Dutch Harbor and Kodiak are getting 80% of the raw fish tax from the Prince William Sound area that's unincorporated, and it's not even being shared amongst the communities of Prince William Sound. That's the injustice of it. At some point in time, somebody from Dutch Harbor and Kodiak and where the volume pollock and such is is taken, gets our share of the pool. So I'll just leave it at that the whole shared fisheries tax system isn't right to begin with, and it's not fair to begin with. So, the whole system needs to be revamped, not just the allocation of the part that gets allocated to Prince William Sound. So, anyway, my thought, the whole system is messed up.
Thank you, Councilman Allison. That was trying to dust off my memory that it was the communities outside of Prince William Sound that were really getting the lion's share. Further discussion, council? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
David Gleason,
Yeah.
Ann Schaefer,
Yes.
David Allison,
Yes.
Jeff Guard,
Yes.
Melina Meyer,
Yes.
Kathy Sherman.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Okay, so the next item is mayor appointments and council concurrence to city boards and commissions. Per the handout here in the room and the email to council, my appointments also include on the library board. Let's see where we're at here. Yes, on the library board, Deborah Adams. And then also for the Parks and Recreation Commission, Kirsty Jericho. So that in addition to the list in the packet. What's the will of council?
Move to concur with the mayor's appointments.
Yeah, second.
Second.
There's a motion, Allison, second, Schaefer. Would you like to speak to your motion, Councilman Allison?
No, I think that, we need to do everything we can to encourage more participation. Obviously, we're still a few names short of filling this deck, and we've got a whole bunch more to fill next year. So encourage everybody to participate that possibly can. So thank you for those appointments. Thank you for the letters that we did get, and looking for more.
To your second, Councilman Schaefer?
Same comments. Thanks to everyone who is submitted and is willing to, volunteer their time.
Further discussion, council? I think we can do this. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the appointments are approved as submitted. And thank you to volunteers. Item 16 is a council option to protest or waive protest for a new liquor license application with AMCO. This is Witch's Brew number 6005.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion, Schaefer, second, Sherman. To your motion, Councilman Schaefer.
I see no reason to protest, so it's exciting that we have we're gonna get a microbrewery in town either way. I'm just excited about both of these opportunities, and I see no reason to protest.
Councilman Sherman, to your second.
Okay, so this has been so exciting to see everybody here, to see all these great ideas, and I feel Cordova could support 2 breweries no matter what Amco suggests, so that to me is the problem. But I feel, and I've been weighing this all day long, I feel as a governing body of our community whose unified goal has been to develop local businesses and grow economic diversity, that it would be bad karma to pick one or the other. And I think as a board, as a governing body, we need to push this all forward to the Amco. And everyone in this community has the right to share their opinion with Amco prior to the public hearing in January. I think it's better for our governing body to remain in a small town to remain unified and promote both businesses and wish them well in their endeavors. And so I'm in support of both applications.
Further discussion, council? Before I go back to Councilman Schaefer.
Council Baylor?
Councilman Baylor.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume we're just talking about one of the applications.
That's right.
We
now.
are, sorry.
So, all right. So, and I don't know how much weight the city's recommendation carries with the state, but for me, clearly this does not have a very adequate business plan. I guess that's a tough one. I don't see this well-written business plan. I don't see this one moving forward as much as the other one. So if the state or if the city's recommendation is going to carry some weight, I would not support this. If the city's recommendation isn't going to carry any weight, then we can move them both forward. So that's, I guess, a question.
Well, I think the clerk mentioned
how much does this recommendation for the city carry? And I'll leave it at that.
I don't know that we can know how much it carries, but it does carry weight. I think the clerk said earlier that Amco will consider city comments in their decision-making process.
Okay, well, if that's the case, I am not going to support this one. I would support the one that is, I think, very well written and has the best chance of moving forward and being successful.
So, just for clarity and for the rest of the council and for clarity, Councilman Baylor, are you indicating that you're going to protest this new liquor license?
Yeah, unless I hear something change my mind from the rest of the group, yes, that's where I'm at.
Okay, I think I've got Councilman Schaefer, and then I think I heard Councilman Allison after that.
To me, it seems like two different issues. Wait, like protesting the liquor license application, and then also like recommending one to Amco as a council, one over the other. I think because to protest a liquor license, when I was looking on their website, there are like defined reasons that you can protest it, and Councilman Sherman listed them earlier that, you know, it's because there's safety concerns or they're back on their taxes, or it can't be arbitrary because then the applicant can contest them and then there's a hearing. As I understand it, they can contest our protest, and it can't be for an arbitrary reason. Is, you know, I don't know, there are like pretty defined reasons to protest the application. So to me, it seems like two separate issues, like waiving our right to protest, and then also if the council chooses to support one, that's what city clerk had said, or included even in here, that we could direct you or direct the clerk to come up with draft a letter of support or whatever from council.
As an alternate, okay.
I agree that the motion before you is just to waive protest, and yes, they cannot be arbitrary reasons for the protest. And then there's a procedure where we have to give a certified letter to the applicant stating our reasons for protest, as well as to Amco. And then there is a hearing procedure with the applicant before us again, if we were protesting.
Okay, did you hear that online, council?
Yes, I heard it.
Okay, I'm sorry, Councilman Schaefer, were you finished with your?
That was kind of separate from the other comment I was going to make.
Okay.
I was just going to say, yeah, I didn't know how much discussion we were going to get into on waiving or not, but yeah, I see it from the city point of view. Having a microbrewery in town would be a great asset to the community, to our local economy. I'm also was living in Montana before this. I like everyone, and the microbrewery culture, and immediately moving here, missed that. And you know, when I go visit other places, it's definitely something that's high on my list. So it's super exciting that we've got these two applications, but it's also kind of unfortunate that we just have one license for our community, which is too bad. But I just see it like from the city perspective, it's in our best. Like, we want a microbrewery, and I don't feel like from the city's perspective we should, again, like pick a side. But again, individual council members or city members, anyone in the community can then make their voice heard for the Amco meeting.
So it sounds like you're prepared to waive a protest.
Waive, yes, I am prepared to waive
Okay.
my right to protest.
And just trying to keep the pulse of the
Yes.
discussion. Councilman Allison, was that you that I heard that wanted to have discussion?
Yeah, Schaefer covered everything I was going to say. This isn't picking a winner or loser at this point in time. This is simply choosing to waive the right to protest, and I don't see any reason for anybody to protest either of these things. If we want to make a recommendation or do a resolution in support of one or the other, then that's a separate issue. But we're not in business of picking winners and losers. So good luck to both of them, and I hope that they can figure out a way to work together.
Further discussion, Council? Councilman Gleason?
Yeah, I think we just move forward with this. We waive protest and move on down the line. I'm curious if we were to ask you to drop a letter in support of one or the other, we can do that tonight in pending agenda, or when?
No, I think you would do it for this application. If you wanted to have a letter drafted in support of this one, now would be the time to do that as an alternate motion or an amendment.
I think it's clear in the memo that you had leeway to make other motions if you wanted to.
Okay.
If you felt that that wasn't the case and you wanted to bring an agenda item at a future meeting, I think we have one more meeting before Amco's meeting, a couple of meetings before Amco's meeting.
I would just comment that it's terrible to have to pick between two breweries. Boy.
Further discussion, Council?
Councilman Baylor?
Councilman Baylor.
Yeah, okay, well, the way it was explained to me, I guess I understand it now. That, I think basically both of them are going to have to move forward. I don't have a problem with picking one because I look at the paperwork and I can see what's put together better than the other. But I think like Mr. Hoffman said and Ann said, that's a whole separate issue. So I'll support moving it forward.
Okay. So the motion before council right now is a council motion to waive its right to protest the approval of liquor license number 6005, which is Brewery. Okay. Further discussion, council?
Yes, Councilmember Meyer.
Councilman Meyer.
Yeah, I think everything comments I had has been said. I don't see a reason to protest this license, and I'll save my other suggestion comment for pending agenda on the topic of 2.
Okay, further discussion, council? With Councilman Baylor's last comment, I don't hear any dissension. So all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, the motion carries. So the next item is a council option to protest or waive protest to a new liquor license. And I remind council that you have an option to state that motion differently if you'd like to. And that's an application with Amco for No Road Brewing number 6008.
So moved.
Second?
I'm not looking for a so moved. I'd like to hear a motion stated. Since you have alternatives for your motion.
Oh. So, give me a hand here,
Well,
Clay.
if it's just to waive protest.
Yeah, because
Okay.
that's
You
a
can
separate
make that
item, right?
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted is for the record what the motion is. So, so your motion is a council motion to waive its right to protest the approval of liquor license number 6008 No Road Brewing.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Okay, I see what you're saying.
And
Okay.
second here, Schaefer.
Motion Gleason and second Schaefer. Would you like to speak to your motion? Councilman Gleason.
As stated by all the comments, this is a no-brainer, and I'm excited to try some beer.
Councilman Schaefer?
I don't have any further comments now.
Further discussion, council? Would any like to speak in opposition? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Discussion of COVID-19 emergency response. Any discussion, council? Okay, hearing none. Pending agenda, capital improvements project list, calendar, elected and appointed officials list. Councilman Gleason.
I think it'd be great if you wrote a letter in support of No Road Brewing to Amco. That's just me. I hope other people will pipe in.
Well, I would need a council motion to do that. I
know, but I can't just be the only guy to tell you that, right?
Well, I'm not going to write one on behalf of mayor unless I get council direction to do that. So, yeah. So, I mean, we just had that action item. So,
This is Councilmember Meyer.
Councilmember Meyer.
For pending agenda on our next meeting, I'd like to have a discussion on brewery license limit, and a discussion on a support letter. I think it's something that we need to discuss as council, more so rather than just stating one proposed at this time. I think we need to have a discussion about it, whether, you know, the conclusion of that is in support of one or the other, a letter. Also, I would like to have the discussion kind of in that realm of, you know, what is the possibility of us having 2 microbreweries? Is that something that Amco can approve? Is that limit a hard limit? When I looked on the site, our spot for how many breweries in Cordova was blank, and then it said if it's blank, Amco will tell you. So I would need a little more information rather than writing a letter in support of one business in Cordova when there's 2 licenses. Then I have a really hard time with that.
Okay, Councilman Meyer, maybe could I defer to the city manager for just a moment? Do you have some familiarity with the regulations?
It's my understanding it's population-based, and we're allowed 1. I don't know that there's flexibility or inflexibility around that, but the liquor licensing requirements in the state are very stringent, and I suspect they're fairly rigid and hard.
So where I was going with that, Councilman Myers, would you like staff to kind of report back before next meeting? And that might advise whether or not whether you want to discuss submitting a letter to Amco, you know, maybe advocating for 2 brewery licenses for Cordova.
Yeah, I think that's the discussion we have to have, and I think out of that discussion, maybe either a support letter for 1, no support letter, or a letter just saying that, like, you know, microbreweries and whole brewery license is different than other liquor license. So I think, you know, having those comparisons in front of us also would be good to know.
Okay. Any objection, council? Put that on the next agenda. Okay. And then I guess a little farther reaching out on the pending agenda, we discussed having a discussion after the first of the year on revenues, sources. Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm sorry, was that Councilman Baylor?
Guard, I think.
Yes, it was.
Oh, Baylor.
I think to your future revenues, I think the first thing we should look at, and I think it's been looked at before, I don't know why we can't come to a decision, but the cap issues and how these crews can come in and stay the whole summer and just meet the cap and not pay anymore after that. With all the construction that we're going to have moving forward, I think that's something we should get on right away, because keep in mind, these companies, they're going to be bidding, and they need to know that now, not, we can't spring it on them later.
Yes, thank you, Councilman Baylor. I did have that discussion briefly with the manager a couple weeks ago for some of the projects that I've been related with, where there was longer term lodging for construction crews and whatnot. They only pay that accommodations tax for until they hit that cap, and there's a ton of revenue on the table there. So just for council's visibility, so that would be one of the elements you'd want to speak to. And I think the other one I heard was fuel tax. So, okay.
So am I putting that in January? I'm putting that, right?
January, council?
Okay.
I'm seeing nods here.
I had a question that I guess maybe we'll take up at the end of the recessed work session when we finish, about whether we're having another work session before we're supposed to be approving it on December 15th, and it needs to be advertised on December 8th. So I don't like not talking about it at pending agenda of a regular meeting, but I think it's warranted that we wait until the end of the work session to schedule possibly a work session.
Okay.
Okay.
So, we've added 2 pending agenda items. Anything else there, council? Okay, audience participation. Would anyone in the audience like to speak to any item?
Hey again, just want to thank you all for your time and consideration. And our business would appreciate the support of any of you as individuals by writing a letter of support to the Alcohol Control Board. Sounds like there's a lot of under the current support for our business compared to the alternative, and yet I completely understand you're also bound by procedure here. However, as individuals, you are welcome to support our business to the Alcohol Control Board, and I would encourage you to do so if you think it's a better fit for Cordova. Thank you.
Hello. So I appreciate the neutrality at this point in the application process. I really, really appreciate that. I feel like I am up against the grant writer for the city and someone who works or is married to the Chamber of Commerce. I just want a fair shot at making microbrewery beer for this community. Again, it's something that has been requested by customers, and it's a natural interest for me to want to pair burgers and dogs with a really good beer or selection of beer. I think no road, I think keeping it just in Cordova is interesting. I want to actually partner with Alaska and build slowly a really good selection of beer to participate in the industry. The industry is really interesting. There's many layers and reasons why I'm interested in this industry, and it can actually bridge gaps for all kinds of I would say movements. I mean, just Salmon Jam, you can raise money for making a beer for that group of people in the city. Anyway, I just think having a fair shot at being able to supply beer for Cordova and then also to other communities and exchange that is a great industry for Cordova to get involved with, especially in the winter. Winter, a lot of things are really slowed down. And, you know, I'm just getting started, but I want to build good food throughout the year and good beer throughout the year, you know, not just spring and summer. although that is a really good time for making money. But I think that having something that's steady is a real goal for this town. I mean, Helen was just saying there's not a lot of food options. I just was late to the meeting because I was making burgers across the street for visitors here, you know, and I'm one person. So it's like, I think my drive and my vision is really strong, and I'm planning to build upon that, like Baja and like the Pizza Guy, you know, just to expand gradually but steadily, so there's something for Cordova. I have a lot of thoughts about this, but I think I'll leave it at that. I haven't created branding yet because I was actually, in fairness, with the community, aware there was another applicant. And the moment that if I get the license, branding and all of that is easy. We have the space, we have the people that we want to work with. We have local people we want to work with. So it's like, all of it, I've kind of been behind the curtain working on to see if I get the license. And I think the flip is, the other party is like, oh, this building and this and this and this. But I mean, the food industry, this hospitality industry is a full-time job. So I think making beer at home is great, but I think the dedication that something year-round requires, beer and food, is someone has experience doing this in small towns in Alaska. I mean, that's who I've been talking to. I mean, I just went to Juneau to talk to people who have done this. Sitka, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people that I talk to about it, trying to educate myself, because I am new to Alaska. Anyway, I just wanted to, I guess, say that, again, I want a fair shot. And I think we'll do something really cool. That's all I have to say.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you. Further audience participation? Okay, council comments, and I'll start on the telephone. Councilman Baylor?
Yeah, well, I guess on the issue of the brewers, I kind of revert back to my planning and zoning days where we were charged with looking at.
Tom, we're having for some reason you got real muffled on us. We're having a hard time hearing you now.
All right, you got me now?
Yeah, much better.
Okay. I'll start over. I guess going back to my planning and zoning days, we did look at applications, and for lack of better term, we did pick winners and losers. And for me, there's an obvious difference in the business plan and presentation here. And if this was in front of me as planning and zoning commissioner, I would definitely recommend one over the other. That being said, it does not appear to be the role of council. So I guess I'm a little bit apprehensive about our next discussion of whether or not we, as a group, support one over the other, or have the mayor write a letter. I'm not so sure on that. I do think the suggestion of individuals writing letters supporting one or the other is probably appropriate. I don't know if we should acknowledge that we sit on the city council or not, or just as citizens. So good luck to both of them. And I think we really need to get looking at some of these tax issues, like the bed tax and those kind of type of things. I think that's outside money that's leaving this community. These contractors, that's just part of the profit. It's not like it's going to cost the community more if they get the job done. They take that with them. So, and thanks to staff, and it's a good recommendation from the clerk to postpone or adjourn our meeting and take up the workshop after this meeting. So thanks for that. That's all.
Okay, and thank you, Councilman Baylor. Recognize you're on the East Coast and appreciate you hanging with us here. Councilman Guard.
Yeah, thank you.
My comments are kind of in line with Councilman Baylor's, but the point that keeps coming to my mind is we have no license request up to the city of Cordova. This is all state licensing that's happening to this point. So I really don't feel it's in the council's purveyance to pick winners and losers on a state license basis. Somebody applies for a license to operate in Cordova, that's our business. So I'm real hesitant to think about writing a letter of support. I do have my own favorite picks. I plan on writing a letter of support for my own personal self, but I don't feel comfortable doing it as a council body. That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Meyer.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Thanks for the meeting. Kind of what was said on the breweries. I actually personally don't have a favorite. I will be writing a letter in support, probably to both of them. And personally, I do feel like our community could use multiple microbreweries. I don't like the idea of a community only being licensed one license. I think that creates a monopoly, and I think I don't see that as a good direction. I don't think that council should be supporting one or the other, but it's just a hard spot to be in, really, because we haven't had any licenses up to this point. Now we get two, and we're told we're only allowed to have one. And what business plan is better than the other? I don't know. It's just a really tough spot to be in. But look forward to continuing the conversation about the budget. And thanks everybody for all the hard work you put in. I know filling out those applications and coming to all these meetings is not an easy process. So thank you.
Councilman Allison.
Yeah, I'll make my comment on the brewery issue. I think as individuals, I can support or not support any individual businesses that I so choose, but as a council member representing council, I actually feel like we have a conflict of interest with both of these because we are a minimum of 12% partners in both businesses, and we are, depending on sales and use taxes and alcohol, marijuana taxes and property taxes, it gets above the 12%. So as a council member, I don't see where I can pick or choose. Although I may feel personally one over the other, personally I can choose to do that, but not as a council member. So in the future, when it comes back up for discussion, I won't support council writing a letter as a council or passing a resolution. But I do like Councilmember Meyer's thought process in having a discussion, and I understand that the laws regarding that currently might be strict or not, but hey, those laws were written at some point in time. They can be rewritten again, and I think pretty much these community allocations are based upon what communities request, and if we haven't requested anything, then sure they use the population. So I don't think it's as hard to change as we might think it is, and as long as they run their businesses properly, and we don't end up with a ton of EMS and police resources heading in their direction, which would cause us to protest the renewal of a license. As long as everything's cool, then things should be good. So I'm in favor of that discussion on seeing what we can do about maybe getting everybody allocated here. So anyway, thanks for the work everybody does. Thanks for all the comments everybody had. I too do read all of those comments and take them to heart. So appreciate everybody's participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Allison. It's not often we have city councilmen calling in from Yakutat. You're on cell phone?
AT&T.
Yeah, correct. I've been kicked off a few times, but yeah,
Great.
It's working good.
Yeah, you're coming in very loud and clear, so thank you. So here in the room, council comments, Councilman Schaefer.
Yeah, as far as the alcohol licenses, yeah, I agree with those before me that as a council, I wouldn't be comfortable picking and supporting one over the other, but individually we can all write our letters. And yeah, thanks to everyone who wrote emails and came in and did the audience participation. It's nice to hear from this many people, especially when it's so positive. We usually only hear from so many people when we're mad, so this is a nice change. And thanks to everyone who stepped up to serve on the boards and commissions. Yeah, it's great to get involved, and thanks to everyone who's out there plowing and snow shoveling.
Councilman Gleason?
Yeah, I would echo those comments and just say this is, having to choose between two breweries is a real dilemma. I mean, I wish it would be really nice if what Councilman Meyer is suggesting, if we can actually allow for two. From where I sit, I generally would go with what's best for what's going to make the city the most money. So that's how I would make my choice if we were to choose. And I think that would be a pretty easy decision. But that doesn't mean I don't want both of them to happen. I would love it if we could have a restaurant that served its own beer, and if we had a brewery that you could go down and have home brew. But we have to go with, like I said, from where I sit, we have to go with what's best for the city, in my opinion. So hopefully we can discuss it and we'll end up with two. But if not, I will be writing a letter of support for the one I think is best. Appreciate the reports and school board, and I appreciate Dr. Sanders and her reports, and all the public comment. So that's it.
Councilman Sherman.
I'm not going to talk about beer because I'm out of water and I'm really thirsty. And I think everything's been said on that. I just wanted to give a shout out to Zachary Snowden from the Cordova Times. Congratulations. And thank you for all the work you've done for our community on the newspaper. You are a great editor, one of the finest. So good luck in your future endeavors. Okay.
Okay, Council, we have one item left on this. I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
And a second. Is there any objection? Okay, we're adjourned. I'm going to take a 5-minute, I'm going to extend the recess for 5 more minutes to give IT a chance to make the switch for us. And since we're in the auditorium, if anyone needs to take a break. And thank you again for hanging in with this, Councilman Baylor. It's a